All right. Microphone check. Microphone check. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel, Yak Nasty Fishing. You know where you're at. And today, guys, we are talking early summer bass fishing. I'm talking crazy temperatures. 85, 87, 90-degree water temperature, guys. I'm not talking about air temperature. I'm talking about water temperatures. And I'm going to share some tips I got to catch more bass on the bank, the boat, or the yacht. Stick around. So, guys, early summer. Oh, yeah, we had our first heat wave, okay? Averaging temperatures over the course of a week, week and a half of real feel 105 degrees, okay? We were up there in the 97s, 98s, actual temperature, 100 degrees, actual temperatures, even got as hot as 110 real feel degrees. Now, this is just me. I'm gonna go on a little tangent, but if they're gonna call it real feel, just call it that temperature, all right? If you're gonna say, oh, well, it's 100 degrees, but it feels like 110, look, well, let's just call that 110 degrees, right? Okay, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Leave it down in the comments down below. What do you think about the real feel thing? You know, it really feels like, but the temperature is deal. All right, guys? Oh, while you're down there, hit that like, hit subscribe. Come on, guys. I'm trying to grow this thing. And I believe this year we are going to get those 1,000 subscribers. So keep on hitting that like, keep on hitting subscribe, leave those comments, and try to watch these videos because I really need those watch hours, guys. So moving on from that, yeah, it's been hot. It's been muggy. It's been humid. It's been crazy, all right? Just get out there and just sitting still and you're drenched with sweat, okay, guys? So sometimes I just want to jump in the water. Like, yeah, I'm loving my fishing, but I sometimes may just want to go swimming, okay? So let's get into bass talk, all right? Now, early summer, we know temperatures start to rise. We have the spawn that's already out of the way. So we're looking at post-spawn fish right now, all right, in pretty much all areas, all right. So we're looking at post-spawn bass fishing, all right. And these tips and tricks, they're going to work on your lakes, your ponds, all right, your rivers, you know, your slow rivers. I'm around Maryland. We have slower rivers here. Delaware, you know, Chesapeake Bay, stuff like that. So, you know, Upper Bay, Potomac, everywhere Bassmaster goes. Yeah, we're here on the East Coast. But these tips are going to help you catch these fish just about everywhere you go, all right? From bank fishing to the boat to the kayak, guys, you're going to catch some fish, all right? So the main part that we want to pay attention to, guys, is these fish, they're going to split. All right, guys, they're going to split. I don't know the ratio. I don't know if it's 50-50 or 60-40. I don't know. But some fish stay up shallow and some fish go out deeper. All right, guys, that's one important thing we have to pay attention to. So you can fish for these fish up shallow. You can fish for these fish out deep. All right. It's 100 degrees outside and you're trying to figure out what to do. So we're going to start off with shallow fish. All right. I love shallow fishing. We know, we see the videos. I'm always out there. You don't ever see me in the middle of somewhere fishing. Okay. I got 2D. I do know how to triangulate, but we're going to start off with what I know best and where I am pretty dang strong. And that's shallow water bass fishing. All right. In the middle of the summer, in the middle of the heat, I'm out there. And it's not as fun or easy, I should say, because it's always fun. I'll be sweating and going crazy, but it's definitely fun. But it's not always as easy as many might assume, right? You're like, oh, well, I'll just throw over there and it's a tree. They'll be there. No, not necessarily. Now you have to pay attention to the characteristics of your body of water. Okay. Because right now there's a lot of vegetation growth. Everything is growing around the edges of those waters. And everything is looking juicy in many of the places that I go to. I see brush piles, I'll see overhangs, I'll see laydowns, okay, guys? And all of it looks good, but there won't be any fish there. And it makes you wonder, right? Because you're like, well, everyone says throw up to the cover, throw by the structure, all right? Throw at those things. Yeah. But the fish are only going to be schooled up in certain parts of the body of water. Okay. Everything may look good. You may catch a straggler here and there, but most of the fish you're looking for, they're going to be in a general area. So they may be at the top of the lake, the middle of the lake, or the bottom of that lake. If you're at a lake, if you're in a river, they may be upriver. Normally in the rivers, you can find them here and there, but you can definitely go up those back creeks and find a concentration of fish, guys. All right. That is for sure when it comes to those rivers and those I guess lazy rivers that I'm talking about today. Lowland reservoir, stuff like that. Okay. They got the little branch offs. That's shallow water. Go hit that shallow water. All right, guys. And the baits that you're going to want to use in shallow water. Well, first, let me slow down. What I mean by shallow water, guys, is is relative really to your body of water. All right. It's pretty much 0 to 10, 15 feet. Okay. That's what I'm thinking about when I say shallow. 0, 10, 15 feet. Um, in a lot of places, 15 feet is deep. Okay, guys? And we're going to talk about that as well. But when I say shallow, we're going to be talking about an array of body of waters. So 0, 10 feet. Okay, guys? That's shallow water bass fishing right there. Of course, if it's clear water, you're going to deal with the clear water. You're going to probably go a little bit deeper and consider that shallow. All right, guys? So you just want to pay attention to your body of water when you're taking in this information. So, shallow water fishing. All right. To get that bite in shallow water, all right. One, I like to narrow down where these fish are hanging out at. All right. First thing first, you can you can throw anywhere in shallow water. Where are these fish most likely to be? All right. I would definitely go look for cooler water. So if you have a thermometer, you have electronics, look for that area that has a little bit cooler water, even if it's by 1 degree, half a degree, 2 degrees, that is cooler water, and that can make all the difference. So when I find where the water starts to kind of cool off, if it says, 85.7, and then I get over here and it's saying 85.1, it's a very slight difference, but it can make all the difference, guys. So when locating these fish, I'm looking for a little bit cooler water. Okay. That's normally back. It's covered up with a bunch of shade. All right. Those overhangs. Those are the first places I like to throw. Okay, guys. Overhangs. Yeah, produce a lot of shade. All right. You're getting a lot of honeysuckle weeds, stuff like that, that's growing on the edges of these waters, and they're overhanging. We have trees with their overhanging branches over the water, and that produces a lot of shade. Okay. So if you have a little bit cooler water and then you have a overhang and a bunch of shade, guys, fish that. All right. Shallow water banging, you got 0 to 10 feet, fish that. Okay. Those docks, that structure, okay, that produces a lot of shade and it's just a little bit cooler water, or you're starting to get to some cooler water, and there's docks right there. They're producing a lot of shade. Those floating docks, they do pretty well, all right? Those stilted docks, you know, those do pretty well as well. Cooler water, all right? They're like humans. When it comes to this summer heat, we just want to get somewhere a little bit cooler, get a little bit more comfortable, and pretty much do nothing. Which is going to bring me to my next point. These fish are lethargic, man. They're not chasing anything, all right? They're not going nuts. Early morning, evening bite, then you're going to get crazy action. But for the most part, throughout the day, these fish are going to be lethargic. All right, high 80s, low 90 water temperature. These fish are not going to be wanting to move very much. All right. So most of the time, they're not chasing. So when I'm up shallow and I'm throwing at the cover and I'm throwing at the structure, all right, there's some lily pads, there's some docks, there's some overhangs. I'm normally fishing kind of slow, all right? I'm not going too crazy with it like I would with a crankbait, you know, not really zooming. Those times come in the morning, in the evening. The bite window is going to be small, okay? It's going to be a shorter bite window, but in the morning, in the evening. Not to say you can't catch them through the whole afternoon, because that's when I do love fishing, is the hard part of the day at 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 12 o'clock. All right. When that sun's up real high and it's just a hard bite, I do enjoy that challenge, getting out there and trying to figure these fish out. So, with that all being said, guys, fishing slow. All right. This is a very easy one. This is for beginners all the way to the most advanced. We're talking about the wacky rig. All right, guys. I know this is a dead giveaway, but I had to put that out there first. A wacky rig definitely gets bit. All right. Check out that core tackle wacky rig setup they have. It's weedless. It's got a little bit of weighted setup you could throw in the brush. Okay. Under those lay down, stuff like that. Or you can do it the old school way. All right. Well, I guess it would be the regular school way, but regular wacky. Throw that thing right out there in front of it, let it drift on down, and that thing make its way down there, that cooler water, and it will get bit, okay? You don't really have to explain that wacky rig so much. It's that good old flutter action, you know, it's sitting on that hook there, and it just kind of wings itself on down slowly. All right, that probably a little too fast what I was doing, but it just has a nice little shimmy as it goes down, looking like a dying bait fish or something similar to it. And these fish just bite that wacky rig. It's everywhere on the planet, they will bite a wacky rig. All right, guys, another bait. You guys know I love to fish, and I'm fishing it slow. Lizard. All right. Get you a Zoom Magnum lizard. You know, my favorite color, but the green pumpkin works fantastic. Get a June bug. Get some natural colors for the clear water. Get the darker colors. All right. For that more stained situation. I love a Magnum Zoom lizard, man. These things are awesome. All right. Another great bait. Summertime fishing, you slow down, these fish are lethargic. A worm. Real simple, guys. These are dead giveaways, dead ringers, but I know sometimes we tend to forget, you know, and we'll get stuck in a, you know, situation where we just want to throw a swim bait or something, right, guys? I've done it. I've been in my little groove, you know, where I'm only fishing these baits. Yeah, they're getting bit. I could be throwing something else, but you could be throwing something better. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh. Okay, right? This here, the Bass Pro Shop. It's that tour series, tournament series. All right, that's a 7-inch worm. I like to get big worms. I think my 10-inch worm is out on the truck, but Nice little ribbon tail worm right here, guys. All right. I will put a ball head jig on these sometimes, old school style. I don't know. I'll put a ball head jig on that thing with a longer shank hook, throw it in there, and just kind of take my time with it. It's almost like a giant Ned the way it works in the water, leaving that ribbon tail up, just floating and fluttering in the water there a little bit. And, that's what you want. You're moving it a little bit slower and you just kind of want to entice those fish and get them to bite. You can always snap those, all right, and get a reaction strike. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's worth a shot, okay, guys? But if you notice they're biting on slow moving baits, get a worm, throw a worm down there, all right? Just like that ribbon tail worm there, I have a grub style worm. My yum dinger right there, guys. This thing here is awesome. Has the grub tail. You've seen it here before. So let me open this pack up. It's a brand new pack, obviously. I have so many of these worms, dude. Right there. All right. Instead of that full ribbon tail, it's more of a grub style tail, guys. All right. So it has a kick. It doesn't have as much motion as that ribbon tail. And you do have a wagging kick, almost like a slight swim on that worm. Okay. So worms do the trick. All right. You got your stick bait worms. You know what I mean? Just your straight worm. You have your ribbon tails. You have your grub tail worms. All right. You have your robo worms. I have a ton of robo worms. All right. For your drop shotting, if that's something you like to do. But robo worms, I do like to Texas rig them on a lighter wire hook and throw those into the cover and just take my time, and those get bit, guys. So worms, crazy category, goes nuts, get that bite, guys. This is nothing crazy. I'm not talking crazy talk. Worms, okay? So there are different type of worms. Get out there, throw those worms, experiment with those different kind of worms. Now, the last slow bait. Okay. The very last slow bait I want to present to you guys is one of my favorite techniques. It's actually my favorite technique to fish, and I will fish this technique even if I have to force it. And sometimes it's to my detriment. It's not always a great idea to throw this bait when you know they're clearly biting something way better. Okay. But I digress because sometimes we get hard headed and I just love to throw a jig, guys. Yeah, since it's tied on, oh, better, better hook set. Good fish, good, yeah. Better bank. Look, that bait popped right out of there. We got us a one. Oh, yeah, it's a good looking fish. We'll take this. There we go. Yeah, since I had it tied on, I went out, I fished. I've been fishing, guys. So this jig right here, guys. This right here is a Weedleton bait. It's a Weedleton custom bait, guys. Check them out, Weedleton.com. Weedleton Baits on Facebook. All right, he's local to Delaware, Maryland area. He makes these, and dude, I customize my jigs. So when I go and buy someone else's jig, it's got to be amazing. Look at that. You can tell I didn't beat this thing up. I don't even know. Can you see that? Look at that. I don't even know. Look at that. This thing has been beat on, guys. So, yeah, it is tore up. And you notice it's black with the red flake. And I have red tinsel, red and silver tinsel material on here to give it just a little bit of a flash boost. All right, as that jig skirt is flowing down there on the bottom. And it's a very soft, rubbery skirt. So it has a lot of secondary action, okay? A lot of that secondary action on this thing. And then, you see what I did? I'm using the back half of a ribbon tail worm, guys. That chartreuse tail, man, this gets bit. All right, guys. So get a jig. All right. Green pumpkin works very well. Black and blue works very well. All right. Red or the black with the red flake, it works well. And a trick that I like, now I'm talking about it, a trick that I like to do with this jig is once I get it down there, I take my time, I give it that little bit, I might drag it a little bit. You can also swim it with the ribbon tail worm on it. Okay. Ooh. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh. Yeah. All right. All right. All right. Yeah. Woo. Ooh, man, okay. I see what happened there too. I was swimming that jig, and I was swimming it pretty quick. Man, look at that. Yeah, yeah. That's a good looking jig right there. And I was swimming that thing. Wow. Nice. It ain't no super huge one. About a good 3-pounder, 2.5, 3-pound fish. Oh man. Okay, so this gives it so much great swim action as you're slowly bringing that bait back to the boat. You tried that jig right over here in this section. You gave it its bops, you gave it its little movement, but then you can slow reel it. Once you're done with that cast, you finish it out, okay? Because you could swim this thing back and get a bite. I'm telling you, it's a very surprising bite too, but it's fun. All right. But you can get a very aggressive bite swimming this jig back after you've already tested that spot if you're fishing those isolated spots. All right. With that jig. So a jig is a very, very awesome bait. I love it. I got every color jig from white to the black. I got every color. You pick a color, I got that color jig. I'm sure of it. Okay, guys? Maybe not yellow. Maybe not yellow. I don't know. I'm gonna have to check. I don't think I have yellow. Okay? I don't even know if I have a shade of yellow jig, but there might be one color I don't have. But yeah, so that'll be it for the slower baits. You just want to slow it down. These fish are lethargic. Okay, so in that shallow water, they have less oxygen. Okay, these fish are just not moving as much most of the time. All right, unless it's the morning bite or the evening bite. Okay, because bass really love feeding in the lower light conditions. Which brings us to the next part, deep water fishing. Now, I don't have a bunch of baits for the deep water fishing, but I do have baits that work for deeper water. All right. So, as that water begins to warm up, there is a group of fish that go out, get deeper, and go to a more stable setup. Okay. Now, the shallow water is pretty volatile. Okay. It gets hot. Uh, Things can change in the shallow water pretty quick. Temperature rise, fall fairly quick. All right. But in the deeper water, that's a more stable environment. Okay. More oxygen rich environment, lower light conditions. Yeah. So you're likely to get bit. In deeper water, guys, it comes to relativity, all right, to your body of water. I have a lake here, 10 foot is deep. That's the bottom, okay? 10, 12 foot, that's the bottom of this thing, deep water, okay? And some fish are sitting down there in that deeper water. Some are sitting a little bit higher in the column, maybe, in the middle at 5 foot depth, just there, okay? More stable water, more oxygen, cooler temperature. So these fish are likely to be more active. All right, guys, remember that. Now, if you have electronics or you can spot these fish, side scan, some down scan, if you have a live scope, you already know what you're looking at. If you got the live scope, these fish are doing what they do. But the fish in the deeper water, they're a little bit harder to catch, and you can't always narrow it down if you're in my position when you just have a 2D sonar. Now I know how to triangulate, okay? So if I go over this hump and I kind of go back and forth zigzagging it, and I can figure out how long that piece of structure is or that piece of cover is down there. And once I narrow it down to this section, right, it's a 12 by 12 section, right, and there's something down there. Well, I can just throw across there, all right? And a bait that I really like to throw in that deeper cover, in that deeper water, even though I haven't done it a whole lot this year yet, I've been having fun shallow, but a bait I love to throw is an underspin. All right, guys, an underspin. And I got it tied on. Let's see this. Where's it at? There it is. Woo! Look at this, guys. Oops. So, an underspin, guys. Look at that. Yep, I got that Crush City Mayor on that. That's a kill weighted underspin right there. So it will keep this bait sitting upright. Okay. I don't know. That wasn't a good look. That was all hand. So it'll keep this bait sitting upright like this right here, guys. And what I love about the Mayor is when you're fishing this Crush City Mayor on this underspin, it has a nice little rock to it, guys. Yeah. And this right here, guys, is the 4-inch Crush City Mayor. All right. This is a 3/0 hook right here. All right. Kill weighted underspin. They will bite an underspin sometimes over a regular jig headed minnow. Okay. I love to come across it because when you are throwing this Crush City on this kill weighted underspin, one, you have a little bit faster fall rate with this. All right. Now, it works very well with a K.I.S S. All right. You get the 3.8 K.I.S S, 4-inch, something like that. Get your K.I.S S swimmer and it works phenomenal. It's just a slower fall. Okay. So I love a slow fall. But most of the time, when I'm trying to get down to that deeper structure, I want to get that bait down. Okay. So I will overthrow that structure, let my bait fall. You see, this is weedless. So I can bring this right through the cover. All right. Pick this bait right on up. Now we have a weedless. Now it's supposed to be in a groove, but that was a little lazy. But now it's weedless, guys. And you're just throwing it in that cover. You're coming across that cover. This blade is producing just a little bit of flash to attract the fish. And also, no, can you hear that? Bump that across some wood. Bump that across some rocks. It makes noise. Yeah. And that really attracts some curious fish, man. And you will get a very aggressive bite on this thing. All right. And underspin. Whoo, so amazing. All right. And another trick I love to do with an underspin. All right. If you got your Mayor, you got your Ki-Tech, right? We'll try this. Put a little stick bait on there. Look at that. Put a little stick bait on there. I cut it off, put that on there, screw lock. All right. This gets bit. It is crazy. So little action. Okay. It's so crazy. Like, look at that. It's just a little bit of action. This is not really doing a whole lot of movement in the water. Okay. You might get a little bit of this if you bump on something. You might get that. All right. On that underspin, get this down there. Throw that thing just past that cover and bring it back across there and let that blade tap. Let that blade tap, guys. Oh my goodness gracious. That that is a crazy bite, but this little trick works wonders. All right. I love this color and I do love this color. These are both Yum Dingers, little stick baits by Yum. All right. These guys get bit. All right. The one with the tail is called the thumping dinger. All right. Thumping dinger. That's the one with the tail. This is the regular dinger. But look at that. They're flimsy. And you put that guy on this right here. I don't know. It's like fish crack. It's magical. It's magical. It gets bit. I don't even know how to explain it. Throw it down there, bring it across that cover. It also works in the shallow as well, but I like this in deeper cover, guys. You could bring it through those laydowns that are laying deeper, those brush piles, and this thing will come across. It'll make a little noise. It'll send a little flash, and it's just a dinner bell for those fish to attack this bait. And man, it gets aggressive, guys. So this underspin situation is amazing. Get out there, throw this underspin, get in there. Don't be afraid. You will pull up a monster. You will catch you some fish, guys. So, hey, this is an awesome trick. Another trick that I do like in deeper water, swim baits. I'm still using swim baits. Of course, you can throw a weedless wacky rig down there. You could throw a Texas rig down there if you want. You could throw all of these baits down in that deeper water. But I want to give you some advice on something that might get you a little bit bigger bite and a little bit more success. All right. Uh, we want to see success, guys. We want to see success. All right. So with that being said, you can also throw the Speed Glide by 6 cents. Mine's out in the truck. The Speed Glide works. All right, guys. Awesome, awesome bait, that Speed Glide. It took me a minute to figure out how to use a glide bait, but once I figured it out, it's pretty cool. And it's not that big. It's like 6 inches long, maybe 7. It's not a real big bait, but it has an awesome hunting action, and I do like it. So the 6 cent Speed Glide, I love to bring that across that top of the cover. Don't touch it, don't put it in it, but right over the top and bring a fish out of that cover, guys. I'm telling you. Another thing that works is the Nessie 9. Okay, guys, the Nessie 9. Well, just go that way. The Nessie 9, guys. All right. This soft glide style bait, awesome. Awesome. All right. Now, same thing goes with this. You can come around that cover, over that cover, but don't throw it in there. These hooks right here, sticky, crazy, crazy hooks, man. These things, that's that fusion. That'll get you. All right. The Nessie catches fish. I love throwing this thing down there a little bit deeper, throw it over that cover, and it will draw the fish out. All right. Crankbaits. Crankbaits work also, guys. If you have hard bottom, rocky bottom, something like that, a little deeper, all right, to say you got 10 foot, go on and get you a 12-foot running bait. Get that thing, bounce across the bottom, pause it, and you're just bringing it in, and you will attract those fish. I'm telling you guys, awesome, awesome way to catch these fish. All right. Lipless works as well. Getting down there. If you got grass, all right, you got stuff like that, you get it down there and you just flick it up. All right. You don't have to yank it. I do sometimes. Sometimes it works, but a light flutter, a little, and then let it run, and let it go back down. Just ticking the tops of that mess. All right. So in that deeper water, guys, I also love to throw a jig down in that cover. I'm telling you, I could throw a jig anywhere. I love fishing a jig. I just wanted to put that out there. A jig will work too. Put that ribbon tail. Oh yeah, get it down there. Bring it back up. All right. And if it's real thick cover, you're probably gonna want to throw something like a D-bomb. You know what I mean? Missile bait D-bomb, something like that, with less chance of getting wrapped around the branch with the tail. Okay, guys. So you want to kind of play it safe like that. Play it by ear. And don't put yourself or your jig in a crazy situation. But yeah, all these baits work. All right. That deep water, that's pretty much what I use in deep water, from your small swimmers, your underspin swimmers, your jig headed swims, small swimmers, all the way up to your larger swimmers and your glide baits, stuff like that, where you can kind of go over top of that. Your crankbaits, okay? Hard bottom, stuff like that, hard surfaces, not if you have a brush pile down there. I mean, you can chance it. Sometimes it works. You can, if you get it just right to come over top of that cover, but don't get it in it because then you have a shot of losing that crankbait. Um, there's pretty much the basics of summertime, early summertime fishing as this water temperature starts to go up. So, guys, just a few baits, all right? Shallow water, deep water, just some things to throw out there. All right. Summertime, hot water fishing. Okay, guys. Hot, muggy conditions. Make sure you take a lot of water out there. Don't get dehydrated. Watch out for that heat exhaustion and be safe, guys. Be safe out there, man. Use your brains. We've had a lot of accidents this year so far. Kayakers going missing, making bad decisions out there on the water, and paying with their lives, essentially, guys. So just when you go out there, be very careful. Be aware of what you're feeling body wise, temperature wise. I'm going to make a totally different video talking about this stuff, but be safe out there, guys. All right. Take plenty of water. It's hot. Okay. You're going to sweat a lot. You need to replace that water. Okay, guys. With that being said, guys, I hope you like the bait selection, early summer fishing. That's the stuff that I do like to use, guys. So I appreciate you watching. Hit that like, hit subscribe, leave a comment down below of what you like to throw early summer, hot water, hot, sticky air conditions. Yes, down below. And hey, man, tight lines and all that good stuff everybody says. Peace.